Now we're on part 2. Say your name again so the audience
Dina Di
knows.
Mambro, author of True Hollywood Noir.
And my co-host, Sharon.
Farrell,
And
we're talking with this gal who just wrote this wonderful book about true Hollywood noir, filmland mysteries and murders.
Put it up.
Dina Di Mambro. Is it? Do you trill the R's?
No,
No,
it's
that's
Dina Di Mambro.
Dina Di Mambro. Can you see it?
Very good. Thank you.
Great. That's great.
So who's the next victim?
George Reeves, the first
Superman.
Superman. Who killed Superman?
He did.
That's right.
He did. He committed suicide.
That's how it went on the books. But before this happened, somebody had tampered with his brakes. He was being stalked by an ex-lover. There were a lot of things going on with him. Also, they found shell casing under his back. If you shoot yourself in the head, how do you get the shell casings under your back? And there were other bullet holes in the room. So I think that he was involved with Toni Mannix, who was the wife of Eddie Mannix, one of the heads of MGM. And Eddie Mannix liked it that Reeves was involved with her because it freed him up to do what he wanted to do. So he had no problem, he sanctioned this. But when Reeves dumped her, and she went completely off her rocker when he dumped her, for a younger woman, then Mannix got upset about it. And this woman was named Lenore Lemon. And she was considered a kind of a socialite, but I saw her years later, and she seemed more like a barroom brawler type, than a socialite. But so a lot of people think, it might have been Lenore Lemon, because what happened was she was having a party downstairs. Reeves was trying to sleep, and there was a lot of drinking going on, and there was a lot of alcohol even in Reeves' blood. Anyway, he came down and told him to pipe down. They were making too much noise. And Lenore Lemon says, "Oh, that George, he's just going to shoot himself." And then they heard the shots, and she said that she never would understand what made her say that right before it happened.
Wow.
And so a lot of people, but of course, again, it took hours and hours to call the police, and everybody had to get their stories straight. And but the fact that somebody was kind of stalking him and stole his dog, terrible things. Tampered with his brakes. And he even tried to get a restraining order against Toni Mannix, and then he's found shot to death. So again, it's like they're unsolved, I think, in a lot of ways.
Okay.
They did a lot of that. They could cover things up back then.
But that's why I'm saying the difference between then and now.
Jean Harlow.
Jean Harlow's husband, her second husband, was Paul Byrne. He was a big wheel at MGM as well. And they found him shot to death, nude with the gun next to him, and a note that said, "Dearest dear, you understand last night was only a comedy." So that just opened everything up. Why would a guy, I think he married Harlow on the 4th of July, this was Labor Day weekend, and they find him shot like that. And Harlow wasn't at home. She went to visit her mother, who she was very close to, and stayed the night with her.
Well, moms would say that.
Yeah.
You think she killed him?
No, I don't. I think they found a yellow bathing suit that was too big for Harlow. They found servants heard arguing, but it wasn't Harlow's voice. It turns out Paul Byrne had a common law wife no one knew about named Dorothy Millette. And she was mentally ill. She'd been put away.
Oh, she
got out, and she was furious that he had married this 21-year-old blonde bombshell. She was just furious. And he couldn't get rid of her. And they say she came to the house. And he just said, "Just get out of my life." That's the last thing they heard. And then they found it almost looked staged.
Right.
Then Dorothy Millette took a boat called the Delta Queen, I think it is. It's still in Sacramento, and jumped off. When they found her suitcase, there was a yellow bathing cap that matched the suit that was left at the house.
Wow.
It says an autopsy report noted that Byrne's genitals were underdeveloped, and physicians
That was a lot of people said that.
Unfit for
But they say.
What does that mean? I don't understand. Underdeveloped.
Meaning that he was impotent, was very small, couldn't. and
She couldn't have sex.
But
It's
some
just a
people
physical
say that the
condition that
studio-
made him unfit for matrimony.
Some people say that the studio kind of said that because they didn't want to think that their biggest sex symbol couldn't hold a man,
Right.
especially a little bookish man like Paul Byrne. So they say that because he supposedly fathered a son, and with Barbara Lamar, I think, I don't know. Anyway, he supposedly fathered a son. So I don't know that that's true. I think that this poor man not only got shot, but has probably been maligned about his manhood in all the decades since his death.
Oh, it says Shulman also ridiculously claimed that the night before his death, Byrne pranced around the bedroom wearing a huge dildo with which he tried to fulfill his. Oh dear.
That people
that
read
was
that.
made
My
up.
God.
I think Irving Shulman made that up. How would he know?
Oh my goodness.
That was a
That's true. How they
1965
gonna-
lurid book that discredited Harlow and Byrne. I don't believe a word of it. That's why I said ridiculously there.
Yeah.
Huh. That was interesting. You really are an investigative journalist. I mean, when you write a book, you really. I mean, how long did
try
it
to
take
get
you
it
to
right.
do, say, one story?
Oh,
How much time is
some
it?
of them, a couple of weeks, maybe. Some of them.
Investigating? Just
Yeah.
Well, no,
Really
it took me 2 years to do.
That's
the
what I'm
book.
saying.
Yeah, I did a lot of research.
And what took you the longest? And the shortest?
Let's see. Well, Mickey Cohen probably took a long time because I had hours and hours of wonderful tape to transcribe from Jim Smith. And that was the longest.
Is he
chapter.
still alive, Jim Smith?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
yeah,
I'd
he
love
was
to
very
meet him.
he was very young. He was just a teenager when he met Cohen. So he
And he lives in L.A. now? Or?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to meet him.
Oh, here, boy. Robert, William Powell got around. Goodness, he gave
The Thin Man. What about the Thin
Jean
Man?
Harlow a 150 carat sapphire.
They were
ring.
in love when she died, but they say he had refused to marry her. He had already been
Yeah.
married to Carol Lombard, and he said he'd been married to one blonde sex symbol, didn't want to do the other. But then he was, if you look at the pictures from the
was
funeral,
mad for
he
her,
was
though.
devastated when she died.
Mad for her.
And she died of natural causes at the age of 26. I mean, they called her the baby, and she was a baby. Kidney failure. She had had scarlet fever. They didn't do transplants or dialysis in those days.
Yeah.
And, so she died young as well, but not of anything violent. It was,
26 years old.
It's amazing. Today she would
Like
have.
she looks like a woman in these pictures. She looks like
She doesn't-
like
yeah.
a 40-year-old woman.
Rosalind
she's so
Russell said that
sophisticated.
when you saw her without makeup, she really looked like a little baby.
a little girl.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Do you have something about Rosalind Russell in there too?
No, just the quote. Just the
Oh,
quote
oh.
about
The Hearst. What about the Hearst? The Thomas H. Ames, 1924.
Thomas H. Ince was a director, and he wanted to work for Hearst. So they all took a cruise in November of 1924. Charlie Chaplin was on the cruise.
A
the
yacht.
Yeah, Hearst yacht,
Mirage.
the Oneida.
Oh,
And
that was the film that they
yeah.
went to.
so Charlie Chaplin and Marion Davis had been reported as an item, and Hearst loved Marion Davis with a passion. And he had her followed and everything else. He was just very, very jealous of Chaplin. And he
That was
instantly,
she was Rose. What was that movie that?
Rosebud, you're thinking of Citizen Kane.
Citizen
yeah,
Kane.
and that
Rosebud
was about
was-
them, wasn't it?
Was a sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had
Marion Davies. She was the one that Hearst was crazy about. And tried to
Absolutely.
make a star, right?
right.
And she
so
couldn't act. Right?
Ince gets on the boat late. It would have been so much better if he'd never made that made that ship. You think about just one decision. Anyway, he goes. He's on this cruise, and he They say it was a case of mistaken identity. Hearst saw Chaplin, and he had the same kind of hair, the same kind of build. It was dark, and he was with Marion Davis, kind of close to her, and Hearst shot him. But it turned out to be Thomas Ince. A lot of people say it was just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now they claimed that Ince died of an ulcer, but Charlie Chaplin's Japanese servant Kono saw Ince come off the ship on a stretcher with a bandage around his head, bleeding profusely through the head. So he was shot, probably shot in the head. But there's been a mystery all these years. Was he shot or did he really die of an ulcer? There are people that say that first Hearst, Los Angeles Times came out, which was not a Hearst paper, with a headline that said, Ince shot on Hearst yacht. That immediately went out of circulation, that paper. And then Hearst paper said that Ince died at San Simeon. Well, I would have said he died somewhere else. I would have kept him away from, San Simeon was something Hearst owned. So
I
don't
went
know.
up there. I was friends with Bunny Hearst, and
Oh.
I used to go up there all the time.
So anyway, there was this great mystery, and everyone on the boat, the yacht, was supposedly sworn to secrecy. There was a great movie.
Arthur Lake, he was there too. The
No,
actor.
he married Marion Davis's and Hearst's illegitimate daughter. He married her. They had an illegitimate.
Oh my gosh, this
don't
book
know.
has all kinds of things.
There
in
she
it.
is.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah, Patricia Lake. Yeah. Anyway, they had an illegitimate daughter, and it was she admitted it right
Charlie
before she
Chaplin
died.
was on there.
Well,
Oh,
that's
my
what they
God.
say, that Hearst wanted
They all
to shoot
covered it up,
Chaplin.
didn't they?
Whether.
They covered it
So,
up.
they swore everyone to secrecy. Luella Parsons was just a little reporter. When she got off that yacht, she was the major reporter for all the,
So they
for all
they paid everybody off in
the,
certain
exactly,
ways.
they did, and they also cremated Ince right away,
So no autopsy. And
Right. And then the Hearst doctor said he died of an ulcer. Well, the Hearst doctor was on the payroll,
Yeah.
So,
What else is in here?
he,
Well,
another
yeah,
thing,
that's
when
there.
speaking of Jim Smith again, I was talking to him, and he says, he read this, and he says, why didn't you tell me you were doing a story about Ince? Hearst told, the old man, he called him, told Mickey, yeah, I shot that guy. I said, oh, yeah, I would have loved to have had that quote in here, So I guess that's probably what happened. There was a great movie made about this called The Cat's Meow. Peter Bogdanovich did it. Kirsten Dunst played Marion Davis.
Really?
Yes, and it's all about that whole weekend.
Oh my goodness.
It's very good if you ever get a chance.
What's
to
the name
watch
of
What's
the movie
it. The
again?
Cat's Meow.
The Cat's Meow.
Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
Is Peter Bogdanovich still alive?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And he's a great classic film buff.
Oh, that's just great. Well, he must be, right?
Yeah.
He just must be.
Hmm.
He made some nice movies.
He did.
And what about Lana Turner? Thelma Todd, the ice cream blonde.
She was found dead in her garage of asphyxiation, and her head on the steering wheel, all dressed up. And people, was it a mob hit because they said she was seeing Lucky Luciano? As it turns out, Lucky Luciano wasn't even in town. He was in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
But wouldn't they have somebody else take care of it? Those big
Yeah,
gangsters? If they...
But they said that he wanted to put a gambling casino in her restaurant. She had a restaurant, and Thelma Todd Sidewalk Cafe, and said and she wouldn't do it. That was why they suspected Luciano. But as it turns
That
out,
didn't sound right.
but they were also saying that she was driving all over town with him. Well, he wasn't even here. He was in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So that I think can be discounted. She had an on-again, off-again lover named Roland West, a director, who made a deathbed confession. And he said that he was mad at her, and there were hundreds of steps to go up to this garage, and he locked her out, and she might have turned the car on to keep warm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that one could very
So it was
well have
kind of
been
an accidental death.
What is your opinion?
That it was the boyfriend. I don't think it was a mob thing at all. I think that she probably wasn't realizing that if she turned the motor on, it was December in Santa Monica, right near the ocean. It was going to be cold.
Yeah.
So I think that she could have done that. I don't think that Roland West did it on purpose, but he would have been guilty of manslaughter.
She's the one that stood up to the commission, isn't it? That one? She went before the NAP
And
commission.
she
I
was a
believe.
little drunk, too.
Yes.
Then she didn't rat anybody out. That's why I really believe.
Yeah. Actually, what I'd heard
Luciano
about her
never
was
heard her.
they had said she had an appointment with the district attorney the next morning, that she was going to say something about this gambling. And
There's
Luciano.
271 steps to her door from the garage.
She could have died of a heart attack. My God, she's been drinking. So
How
the
old
building
was
is
she?
still there. She was 35, I think, or 30.
Oh,
Yeah.
exhausted from climbing all the steps. She falls asleep at the
Who
edge
made
of
the
the
movie? I remember the movie.
There was
a
Lonnie
movie about it?
Anderson
Was it
and
Lonnie?
John O'Hurley made a TV movie about it called
Oh.
Hot Toddy. But it kind of went the mob route. But Roland West, I guess, confessed to 2 different people. And then they also said that some of the Hollywood bigwigs knew it was him, but they thought they'd had too many scandals. So this would have been one too many, and they just kind of let it go and covered it up. But he never made another movie.
When you think about it, how many cover-ups the studios did do? I mean, it's unbelievable. They had a license to do anything they wanted,
They were called before the police in almost
Right,
every
everything,
instance in this book. They were called before.
and they owned the police.
Yeah.
I mean, they owned everything out here. They were connected with the mob. A lot,
It says, with her business sense, beauty, and comic ability, had Thelma Todd lived, she might have had the same success that Lucille Ball did. She was like
She
really
was
funny, I
considered
guess.
part of half of a team with Patsy Kelly and Zazu Pitts. Each one was with her. They were like the female Laurel and Hardy.
Oh,
My
And
goodness. What a loss.
Laurel and Hardy used to go and come down to the set and give the girls pointers.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's great.
and who else is interesting we got there?
Got Jean Harlow.
We just talked about
We
Jean.
talked about her. Oh, let's see. I'm going to go right to the beginning here. Have to sometimes look at your own book to see what you wrote.
I know.
George Reeves. Bob
Well, we
Marley.
haven't talked about when you talked about the Robert Blake case.
Yes.
How did you get involved in that one? Why?
I always considered it kind of a mystery, and and I wanted a more recent
I was
case.
going to say.
Yeah, I wanted to go from the 20s, and thank you so much, John, for your interview with me. I really appreciate it, and for being so nice to me on Facebook.
Are you trying to get out of not talking? You guys both don't want to talk about Robert Blake.
No.
I busted both of you. Oh.
Well, the case doesn't interest me.
I worked with him. I worked with him a few times, and he was always very nice and stuff, and talented.
I actually tried to.
I never believe that any actor that I've ever worked with has ever done anything wrong. Because, I don't know, I just don't go negative. I think it must have been an accident, the big battery in the sky wanted them. It's time for them to go because they're gone.
Yeah.
For whatever reason,
That's
But
interesting.
Robert Blake.
The actors you work with, you don't believe can do bad things?
No, I really don't, because most of the Robert
So
Blake.
you don't
he's
see them as a human being. You see them as an actor.
Yeah, I do. I do. I see them as actors, and I think that they take their own. If they're going through something bad, they use it.
Well, that's
for their
different. I'm talking
roles
about-
and stuff
you
like
don't
that.
really see
And
beyond the actor. You don't see the
I
person.
think we're all actors, except some of us get paid for it.
Yeah, I guess.
Everybody's
You understand what
an
I'm saying?
actor.
Which
Yeah.
is-
Everybody's an actor. We just some of us get paid for it and can make a living.
When I
doing
tried
it.
to get an interview with him, he got really mad at me.
yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
I could almost understand it, I guess.
Well, I can understand it. And then, well, he's his own worst enemy at times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially when he starts
Robert
talking.
is like Robert. Yeah. Well, we all are our own worst enemies, aren't we?
That's
Are
right.
you?
Oh yeah.
What do you do?
I
That's
do.
naughty or bad for you.
Everything I'm not supposed to. Don't listen to anyone. I'm stubborn.
Aries. What sign are you?
Aries.
Aries. That's a strong sign.
Is it?
Aries women are really wonderful. They're great. I'm not so crazy.
That's usually
about
the
Aries
complaint
women.
about anybody who knows me tells me I'm stubborn. So.
Really? What's your moon? Do you know what your moon is?
Leo.
Leo. Leo's a wonderful sign. That's a real warm. Oh, you'll never be without money.
Well, I hope so. I hope you're right about
Oh,
that.
I'm
Sharon.
totally right. Leos are magical. They've always got money.
I don't believe that Robert Blake pulled the trigger. I will say that.
What did he do?
Do you remember he went to dinner with his wife, and he parked away from the valet parking on a side street,
Okay.
and he left her in the car, and he said he forgot his gun, which I always thought, why don't you forget your cell phone? Why would you forget your gun? You know, I mean, if you're going to make something up. But anyway, he went in there to get the gun, and he came back and supposedly found her shot. But she was shot with a different gun, not the one that he went
That he
to.
had.
Yeah.
That's
So
what
that
you
was
had. She was out of the country. You weren't in here doing the trial, were you?
Oh, I didn't. I just never got into any of that stuff. I don't know. It's like those trials, the O.J. Simpson thing, and I just can't. I
Well,
just don't
like
him.
Simpson, Blake was found not guilty criminally, but
Liable
civilly.
and civil.
Civilly.
Why? Because he went to get his gun.
No, well, he talked doing.
He what?
He had to open it. He had to give testimony during the civil trial.
Oh,
And,
Robert Blake did.
Yeah,
And
and
then what did he
the
do?
standards are a lot less for a conviction. To be liable.
But
'Cause a
how
lot
would
of
he
people-
be liable for? He went to get something, and then she gets shot.
Well, maybe they didn't believe it.
Yeah. They
But the
didn't
gun
believe-
wasn't the gun that he
It
had. It
didn't
wasn't
matter.
the
You ever
same
hear
gun.
it?
What do you do?
Cops
Two
have
guns?
throwaway guns, don't they? I mean, the people.
The gun they found in a trash can, I think.
That if
Yeah.
that's true,
That was a P-38.
that would be a
Yeah.
reason for him to say, "I went to." Oh, that's why you said, "Why not?" I forgot myself.
Right. I never understood why you'd say you forgot your gun, but I guess he wanted to show that it wasn't the
Forgot
same
my
gun.
gun.
If he had any.
Yeah.
Why did he have a gun? Why do people carry guns around? Because
Well, he had a license for the gun. I know
He also
that.
collected a bunch of guns.
yeah, a lot
That
of
was
people
something
do
Yeah.
that. A lot of
That he did. He had a
Well,
license for the
his
gun.
wife was involved in a mail order porn business. Sold nude pictures of herself and bilked men out of
She
money.
was just to rip
This
men
is the
off.
one this is the one that got shot.
Bonnie Blake.
Yes.
was-
And she was like that?
Yes, she was. And I've always thought there was even alleged that she might have got her own daughters involved in this business.
Yeah,
So
one
here,
of her daughters.
here he
yeah.
has a baby daughter with her. He's in his late 60s. How long is he going to live to protect this little girl?
Wow.
Yeah, it was all about Rosie.
If he had anything to do with it, I think it was to protect the child, if he
Yes.
did, But, because he loved that little girl and who's now being raised by his older daughter.
Oh my God.
So, but what kind of life would she have had?
I ran into him at Hugh Hefner's, and he was he was like really proud that he was like 60, and he's I don't look 60, do I? And all this.
Well, he
kind of
worked
stuff.
out every day.
Yeah, he
Sinatra
really-
music, he would do his 2
really
hours.
Worked out. He
When I
wanted
lived
to
with
do
him,
it.
we used to get up in the morning and we'd walk for hours.
You and Robert.
Yeah, and then we.
So you
back
know
to-
him, and you don't think that he did it or had anything to do with it.
I don't know nothing.
You always say that. He always says that he's a gangster. He was a gang. He was. I don't know whether you're really a gangster. I
This
think
is
you
why
just,
he didn't want to talk about this chapter, isn't it?
Oh. Well, listen. I mean, it's nice to clear the air. It's nice to clear the air. And
For who?
Well, for Robert Blake, and and it's like if it gets brought up again, I know he doesn't
Well, we
want
got
to
about-
talk about it, and he doesn't want to be.
We got about
interviewed.
6 minutes to go. So who else in there that you would like to talk about?
Okay.
You tell me because
Okay.
you tell me
See what
what.
we haven't talked
what-
It's
about.
really interesting, this
well,
book.
she's so fascinating
Yeah.
because she really.
Well, she
goes
did her
on,
homework.
She goes on and she gets us really interested. I hate it when people say, "Oh, well, that's in the book. You have to read that. You have to buy my book to read that. You've got to do this to do."
Right.
Well, it's in my book. She doesn't do that at all. I love that.
And where did they read your book?
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I've been enjoying your show so much.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
And she's looking for a publisher, aren't you?
No, I'm
No?
going to self-publish because
You have complete control.
Yes,
that way.
I just don't want. I mean, I had someone who was wanted to edit my book, and on the first sentence they changed every. I mean, it just they were rewriting
Well,
it.
you're probably better off. Listen, we'll talk afterwards
yeah,
about
you'll
that.
have to tell me how you do it.
Okay.
So who's another story before we?
I think we went through them all. So
Have you won?
She's
No.
I probably talk too fast, and I probably talked to. I think that everyone knows these stories like the back of their hand because I do.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Well, do you have anything? Are you involved in anything now?
No, but I did write a book before this on interviews with TV stars of the 50s and 60s.
Oh,
and I wrote that one 20 years ago.
Now, what was the name on that book?
Oh God, I
it was
hated
a different name.
I used my married name on that.
Right, I have it upstairs.
Name. Yeah, it's Dina Marie Culzer. It's right there, John. It's in my purse.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so we can show that one.
See, I love the way you write. It's like just really kind of.
Well,
fun
this one is
it's
so
a fun
different
read,
because
you know?
I was really young.
Let
when
me
I
put
wrote
that
this.
up there. Hold that. That's what. Yeah, there she is.
So that one's by Dina Marie Culzer, also me, and I wanted to call it TV Family Reunion, but they went with television series regulars of the 50s and 60s in interview. I don't think that helped me much. It's kind of a long title.
Okay.
But in this book,
Well, it really tells what it is.
yeah.
It
And
doesn't, it doesn't fool
In this
around.
book,
you
I
know what
had
you're
I interviewed Ralph Bellamy, Angela Cartwright from Lost in Space, Barbara Eden, Kathy Garver from Family Affair, Gail Gordon, who was, of course, on Lucy, and R. Miss Brooks. He was wonderful. Don Grady, who passed away recently from my
Don Grady. I worked with him and My Three Sons. They wanted me to be his girlfriend, and Shelley Fabre did it. I didn't want to do. I wanted to be a movie star. I didn't want to do TV series. I didn't want to do any television. I just thought I looked down on it totally. I was so stupid.
Linda Kay Henning from Petticoat Junction, and Meredith McRae, who also passed away. And,
Meredith McRae passed away?
in 1990. In the 2000 of a brain tumor. Terrible. She was young. It was terrible.
No.
Yeah, she's gone. Meredith McRae.
Oh my gosh.
Ann Jeffries from Topper. Julie Newmar, Catwoman. She was fun and very, very smart and very
Really?
funny.
Tell us about Julie Newmar.
Well, she's very smart and very funny, and just I found her to be absolutely brilliant.
Really.
Yeah, and she just made me laugh, and she talked about, of course, Catwoman and the rest of her career, and so that was a lot of fun.
The long legs. What about Barbara Eden?
Down to earth, sweet, and they put her on the cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I'm trying to get on the show too. I would love to
Oh.
get Barbara.
I worked
Yeah.
with her husband. Oh, I worked with both of them because
Yeah.
I did, that thing where she was the genie in the
Yeah.
bottle. I worked on that
That's
show.
a
and
story. That's why she's in here because of I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah.
And Gary Owens from Laugh-In, who was very, very.
Did he
funny.
just pass away?
No, Gary Owens. I think he's still with us.
Okay, yeah. Give him great voice.
Very great voice, and very good at business. And I've interviewed comedians in the past. Like one time I interviewed Tommy Smothers. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Gary Owens was funny. I mean, sometimes comedians are not that funny when you're
Yeah,
just
they have
talking,
to have
but-
their writers.
Yeah.
I need my writer for a funny line here.
Paul Peterson from Donna Reed Show.
Donna Reed Show,
son.
yeah.
Donna Reed's from Iowa.
Yeah.
Is she?
They have a contest there every year, a talent thing, scholarship and everything in Iowa for Donna Reed now.
Oh, that's nice.
Paul Peterson and Shelley Fabre were part of that. Casey Rogers from Bewitched, she played the boss's wife. And she was also in a Hitchcock film called Strangers in a Train under a different name, Laura Elliott. She was the one that got strangled and you saw her reflection in the glasses. Great cinematic moment used in a lot of schools.
Yeah, when you came in and you were telling me that you had seen a Hitchcock, and I couldn't remember the guy's name.
Yes.
Okay, I can't remember his name again.
John
Ireland.
John Ireland.
And I'm watching Tuesday Weld in that Henry Joplin film, A Safe Place.
Oh.
It was like really, it's crazy. What a crazy film. It's like Fellini-ish kind of. I mean, this Tuesday Weld doesn't know reality from her imagination. And gosh, that guy was way ahead of his time. I met him over the weekend, and he gave me a bunch of films. He gave me all of his films he did.
Wow.
And I've been at home
Watching
them over the last few days. Yeah.
So we can get this
Tuesday
on
Weld.
Amazon.
and McFarlandBooks.com.
Do you have a website or anything like that?
ClassicHollywoodBios.com.
ClassicHollywoodBios.com.
Yeah.
You have to write that down for me.
Who else
So I
did
could
you
put it?
interview?
Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show, James Stacy, Connie Stevens. I loved her.
A nice Italian girl.
Yes. Deborah
Really?
Wally.
Connie Stevens is
Yeah.
Italian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
What's her real name? Angola? Or